has anybody ever said, oh, look at that bird in the tree and you can't see it? Because you're perceiving a tree, you're perceiving branches and leaves like everybody else, but you're emphasizing or de-emphasizing certain things unconsciously. And therefore, you might not see the bird until somebody really points it out to you, right? Somebody else might see it, somebody else might not. But that's what it is with markets. Everyone sees the market, but not everybody is processing the same information about the market because we unconsciously emphasize and de-emphasize visual information. And that is why I turn my charts upside down. That's why I do a bunch of things to force my mind to see the market differently, because you can't really deal with something that's unconscious the way, visually unconscious mechanical processing is built in to you and me. So I learned to turn my charts upside down, which you can do digitally on my platform. And that helps me to see it very differently. I'll show you this again. I just want to give you an example of that so you can see for yourself how different it is. Here's the S&P on the daily chart. Okay, so a lot of action from the high. We had the forecast 6-month top, and this is all the reaction from that. And here we are right now. Now, as you look at this chart, think to yourself, what does this chart tell me? Say to yourself, what am I getting out of this chart? How would I use this chart in a trade? And maybe you don't have a trade, but just process this chart. Now, that's great. You processed it, you saw it, you're going to see it a certain way. Now I want you to process this chart, because this is the exact same chart upside down. Now, what do you think? See, this forces your unconscious processing bias, your emphasize and de-emphasizing processing. It forces it into a different position. You can't do that to yourself without flipping the chart over. You'd have to, or changing the chart in some way so that you can force your mind to see it differently. What does this look like to you? Does it look anything like what you were thinking about before? Probably not really. And you definitely might be seeing different spots on the chart that you weren't really emphasizing when the chart was in its natural position, which is here. So it is very important to force your mind to break out of the unfortunate mechanical processing and emphasizing and de-emphasizing by doing this. And then you can say, okay, I do have something that I've learned something here, and I've noticed things that I wouldn't have noticed on the first chart. This goes, along with the shorter term charts, longer term charts as well. If we were to do it with a, say, monthly chart, this is the monthly S&P upside down. Okay, this is what it looks like. And if we change that right side up, this is it right side up. So this has been a big benefit to me. I've never heard of anybody else doing this, but that's only because people don't think a lot about what their mind is doing. And I do think there are certainly there are thoughtful people out there, and each generation of traders are going to be more sophisticated than the last. But this simple idea I've reaped a lot of benefits from it, because I never take a trade until I see the chart from both sides, which allows me to be sure, or even putting trading aside, I won't publish a forecast until I've seen the chart from both sides. Remember that song from Joan Baez, I've looked at life from both sides now? Well, we should have our own song, I've looked at the markets from both sides now, and I'm ready to forecast or I'm ready to trade. So I always do that, even if it's just something like a 60-minute chart or whatever it is. I'm going to take a look and see how the market looks from both sides before I take an action and make a public call about that.